Welcome to Romance on Repeat. I'm your host, Bella. This podcast, if you don't already know, is all about books and writing books. Writing books because I am an author, and that's what we're going to start off with today. So I sent my draft to my sister because apparently you're supposed to send, once you finish your book and you've done like the complete manuscript, you're supposed to send it to somebody that you trust will give you like really honest opinions. And I sent it to her, and she gave me opinions, to say the least. It was like 4 pages of this notebook, and it was mainly spelling mistakes, which is kind of annoying because obviously now with the technology, there's something called autocorrect, and Microsoft Word just wasn't. It was telling me to like change the spelling to something totally different, and I think it's on like the American setting, but obviously we want it in the Australian setting, but I don't think that's a thing. But Australian wording is sometimes different to the American and British English. Anyway, but I do have a whole list of just on this like little piece of paper of what I have to do, like to change my book and make it good. So first, we're going straight into the first chapter. There's certain stuff that I actually forgot. My main thing with my book was just to write it all out because it was in my mind. So I wanted to write it all down before I forgot it. And then when I did go over it, like the 2 times that I did for the editing process, it just never crossed my mind because I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And then so certain stuff didn't cross my mind. So the first one for chapter one is describe Isla's house. Now, Isla's my female protagonist, and I forgot to describe where she lives because I described the first house, which was her grandmother's house, and I forgot to describe her house. There's a lot of describe going on. And then chapter two, I forgot to describe the boy's house. So my main male protagonist, he lives in a house with his mates, and there's like 5 other mates, and they all live in this one huge house. And obviously, that may happen here in Australia because there are obviously share houses, but it genuinely isn't a nice house. It's more of a run-down house that, uni students can afford. But it's a fictional romance book, so obviously it's going to be a little bit far-fetched. But I have to describe the house because you know what? Reading it, if I read it as a reader and not as the writer, I probably would be confused and be like, "Well, what's the house?" Because it's 6 guys living in one house. How are 6 guys living in one house? Anyway, that's on the list. Chapter four. Well, after chapter four, I have to add 3 more extra chapters. Now, I thought my main thing was to add chapters to the end of the book that was more romance and stuff. But instead, I was supposed to add them towards the start of the book because I missed most of the enemy part of the enemies to lovers trope. My sister read it and she goes, they fell in love really quickly. And I was like, I thought I changed that. Like, I thought I extended it, but apparently I extended it in the wrong places of the book. So I have to add at least, well, she said 3 or 4. I'm going to go 2 to 3 more chapters of just them hating each other. Like full enemy chapters. And that's what I've written here, enemy chapters, because that's the only way that I can remember it. And I do have one idea, a late night drive. Now, late night drive for me is really popular. Like me and my friends, we're always just like, let's just go for a Macca's run or a late night drive, and we drive all the way to like probably half an hour to an hour out of where we actually live, just to get out of the house and just have fun. And we blast some music and stuff. So I'm gonna use that as an idea, but I need 2 more other ideas. And then I was told to split chapter 13 and put a new chapter as Noah's reaction to their first date. I think it was their first date. I wrote the date, but they've been on like a few dates, so it's hard to tell which one. Probably the first date. Um, yeah, I've got to split that one, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to do it in order. because then I know some authors, I think it was Colleen Hoover, where she wrote, I can't remember which one it was, November 9, I think it was, or maybe Someday, one of her books, where she wrote the chapters and she wrote her even chapters first and then she wrote the odd numbers. That's just, how do you know, like, obviously you know where each thing goes, but it's easier for me to write all of my chapters in order so I know what I've previously written and I won't have to repeat it. Because knowing me, if I did that, I would definitely repeat the same chapter by accident, and it would cause so much havoc and effort to change it. I have to get rid of a scene, and towards the end of the book, and then we're going strong because that was chapter 18, and then we're going really strong all the way to 30. That's when I have to change it all the way to 30. Is I need to change the breakup scene, but it's not going to be a breakup scene. So, not to spoil my own book, but my main thing was that my male character, Noah, he gets jealous and it causes this whole fight and whatever. And then they break up because she's like, I can't be with you if you don't trust me, da da da, all that stuff there. And then my sister goes, it's too, like, it's just not good enough. Like, it's not a good breakup fight. Like, why would you break up because you're jealous? And I was bringing in like this random uni bloke to just pique the jealousy, and it didn't work out. So she said we should change it. So we came up with a really good idea that's going to definitely, it's not going to cause a breakup, but it's going to cause a pause in the relationship. Sort of like, no, it's not a Ross and Rachel situation, but they're going to, argue a little bit, and then she's going to say, I'll give you time, one of those moments, and then just base it off that, because obviously there's a big twist that happens at the end of the story that doesn't even have anything to do with Isla and Noah, but it has something to do with Noah, but not their relationship. It's Noah and his personal issues, and that's what I'm going to tie in with the pause of the relationship. So it's just this whole thing that I have to really work out the statistics of it. And then I need more info about their family as well, which I've mentioned bits about Isla's family, less about Noah's family, but I need more. Like, just so then people know what they're working with. And I also create... But look, there's a nickname, right? We're going to get into this. So my sister was reading it. She goes, baby and babe is not a good nickname. And I said, it's a basic name. Everybody uses it. And I'm not going to write the nicknames, or like the pet names, I should say. Like, let's say the Twisted series where it's like Sunshine and Butterfly. That's cringe to me. I can't do that because no Australian is going to go around and say, oh, Butterfly. There are heaps of pet names, but I think here it's supposed to be, I think if I do a pet name, it's supposed to be like a funny pet name. I don't know why. I just feel like it has to be a little bit funny. So we're looking at pet names or like nicknames that could go for the name Isla. And Isla's already a short name, so there's no way to really work around that. So obviously there's Isles, there's apparently people call them Island as a joke because the word, like the name Isla actually means island. But I said it as a joke first before I looked it up. And I was like, oh, Lala, that's really funny. And I looked it up and it was in the top three. I think it was like the top second of nicknames for the name Isla. So guess what her nickname's going to be from now on? It's going to be a joke. I'm going to mention it here and there, but I'm not going to mention it like as often as Sunshine and Butterfly are mentioned in like the Twisted series. It's just going to be like a joke because there was a nickname, and I'm mainly doing it like this because a nickname that I used for my friend, well, she started it first and then I just used it for her, was Stink or Stinky, and it came from this like animated video that she found, and she just called everybody Stinky, and then I just associated her with that name, so I just called her Stinky. And then it sounds so bad, but it doesn't mean that she's actually stinky. It sounds bad. So I'm using it as that. That's like sort of the vibe I'm going for, where it's like it's funny. It's like, you go Lala, but it's, not going to be her nickname. And every time he says it, she's going to say, stop calling me that. So it's going to be just a humorous nickname, and it's not going to be cutesy. Obviously, the cutesy ones are just going to be babe and baby, because, yeah, I've never heard any Australian call their boyfriend or girlfriend like a specific nickname, like Sunshine and Butterfly. They're my two examples. They're the only ones I can remember. I think there was Red, and I don't remember the other ones. They're in there. And I also have to change a few scenes towards the end, obviously to match the breakup. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it's like 2 full pages of just notes. And I didn't realize, I was like, this book's so great. I didn't realize she was gonna give me 4 full pages of notes about my book and what to change. So hopefully I can do that, I'd say in the next, I'm gonna give myself a month. Now, I'm not in a rush, but I am, because obviously my first semester of uni is now over. So I've got 1 semester left, and once that's done, if the book's not finished by then I'm just going to be sitting around trying to get this book finished. So I'd rather have it finished and then be waiting for people to tell me if they can, want to publish it and edit it, instead of just waiting for myself to finish it. So that's on the agenda for that. Also, if you haven't noticed, I've got you can see me now. So I've got a background for my podcast. This is in my own room because I don't have my own studio. And I bought a microphone. So it's this microphone from Amazon. It was originally $60, but they have a mid-year sale. So it was for like 40 something. I'm like, perfect. I don't want to spend that much on a microphone when I don't even know if this will take off. So we've got a microphone, a proper one, and one where I can use on my computer and like video as well. So then this is like a proper podcast where you can see, but you can also hear. I don't know how podcasts work. I really don't. I'm still trying to get the hang of it, but this is the 4th episode, so we're getting there. But for this episode, I also obviously wanted to give an update on my book, but we also want to... Sorry, I don't even know what I'm talking about now. I also want to go through being an author and what it entails, what you can earn as an author. Because in school, no, I think it was in uni, my first, second year, and one of the teachers was a full-time author, but she, I think it was a he, actually. He was also a teacher at the uni. So he's like, look, it doesn't earn that much. Like, a lot of my creative writing teachers were full-time writers as well as instructors, but they were saying that it doesn't earn a lot. And we did a whole lecture on it. And I remember the only thing that I remember from that lecture is that the lowest you could possibly earn on a book, if it was published by a big publisher, was 12,000. I think that's what, all I remember is 12,000, but I think that was the reasoning. But 12,000 was the main price of what you would earn. That's like the lowest that I remember. And I also saw, I think it was a month ago, HarperCollins, it might be, they put out this thing where it's like you can submit your manuscript and we'll sign you up to get it published if we like it, blah, 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 and you can win, and then you get 20,000. But it's like 20,000 is all I get, even if it goes like viral and it's worldwide and it's amazing and it's a best-selling book, is 20,000 all I get. So with these big publishers, I know, like I've been told as well, their contracts are really specific. So you have to always watch and you have to read like the fine print. Like you have to really look into this contract. So that's why I'm like, self-publishing seems a lot easier, because everything that's selling for your book, you're earning yourself, and it doesn't have to be split 100 ways. But I mainly want to try going to the big publishers first, just because I know that there's a good chance I could get a good contract with them, and they will publish the book for me and give me a certain amount of publication, or what's the word? Promotion, publication. So I do want to look up, that's one of my things, is how much in Australia, I should say in Australia, because I know America gets a lot more. How much in Australia do authors earn? So I want to type that in, because it wouldn't be a lot. I can't actually, I gotta type it. I can't multitask. It's really bad. I've already written, talking, and I'm written how author. How much do authors in Australia earn? Because we do have best-selling authors here, but I don't know how much they would earn. Because it's Australia. We're a small country, and I feel like books are getting bigger, but America's just a lot bigger. If you make it big in America, and then you'll make it worldwide. But just Australia, there's only a selected amount of, coverage that you'd get. So it says Australian authors can earn an average of 18,200 per year from their writing. With the average total income for authors, including all sources, being 64,900. This means authors often rely on multiple sources of income to make ends meet. So that's essentially saying you can get a decent amount of money from that, but in this economy, 18,000 isn't per year is shit. Like, you're better off just working a casual job. You probably earn more. And that's not even guaranteed. If your book doesn't take off, you're not getting 18,000. So that's that. And it's saying that you have to have multiple sources of income, which means you're going to have like another job just to make ends meet if you're an author and your book doesn't take off. For me, I'm not too fussed at the moment. I know I should be, but I'm still young and I'm still living with my parents. So I'm still living at home. I'm probably not going to move out for a while, especially living in Sydney. It's a lot of money to move out, and you're better off buying than renting. So yeah, I can't, if I move out, I cannot rely on just, one income like this. Let's see what, you can get, obviously there's specific amounts of money you get per genre, but it's got 4. So for poets, you get 5,000, just over 5,000 per year. For literary fiction, which I'm assuming that falls under my genre, like the romance, contemporary romance, 14,000, just over 14,000 per year. Children's books, surprisingly, is a lot more than just normal fiction. 26,000 per year. Apparently children's books get a lot more. But they are probably more popular because I feel like you read more as a kid than you do as an adult. So, and the same as well, schools and daycares, all these places, they're all buying these children's books. So at the end of the day, it makes sense that children's books would be making more money per year. And then education is just a little bit above that. It's 27,000 per year. So if children's books are making just as much as educational books, and textbooks are very expensive, and you have to buy a new textbook each year for each grade, it says a lot. I want to see what else you can earn. Because there's no way that these best-selling authors are living off 18,000 per year. There's no way. There has to be something else to it. So the Australian authors, I think, what's it called? The Australian Society of Authors in 2022 they posted this article, and it says new survey results show Australian authors earn average of 18,000. Here's the 12,000. I found it. So it says In 2015, Macquarie University researchers investigated the experiences of Australian authors and reported the oft-cited finding that writers earned on average $12,900 per year for their creative work. That's creative work. It doesn't really say specific books. It could be anything. It could be poetry or anything. But there's a 12,000. So in 2015 they were earning 12,000 and now you can earn up to 18,000. But that's Australia. I want to see if America's anything different. All right. How much do authors earn in America? Wow. Jesus Christ. It's a big difference. So, in the US, the median annual wage for writers and authors was $72,270 in May 2024. So it was almost a year ago. They said I should find something that's in 2025, but almost a year ago, authors could earn 72 grand per year. Compare that to Australians saying that we earn 18 per year. That's crazy different. And the fact that we're all the same, we all write the same stuff. Some people, obviously, it happens, are better writers than others, but it just happens that America would still get more than Australians. And they could be the most terrible writers. They could be, doing nothing at all, or they could use AI and they would still get 72,000 per year. That's crazy. Oh, here we go. So they've been really specific. They're more specific than Australian. So traditional publishing for America earn 23,000 in 2022. That's what they came up with. Advances can range from 25 to 57,000 for a debut author. So that's how much you could get for your first book. But I don't know. I think that's just straight up. So if you get, it sounds like if you'd get that much to publish a book and to sell your book. But selling it over years, I think it would be more than that. Because there's no way you get 25,000 for the whole book, however many you sell, and that's it. And if it sells millions of copies and you don't get any money from it, that's kind of shit. So, that's that. Self-publishing gets a lot less. It gets 12,000, which same as Australia. 12,000 to 15,000. I think it's what it's ranging from. So self-publishing, not guaranteed to take off, but neither is going to a big publisher because they might not take your book. I do want to know 2025 author income. Wait a minute. What? Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing because now it's saying in 2025, the average author income in Australia is 124,000 per year. Or it converts it, that would mean $63 per hour. That's crazy. There's no way. And it's in Australia too. So when I was before I looked up this, I looked up how much do authors earn in Australia, and it came up with 18,000. And now it's saying, when I did 2025 author income, it's saying in Australia it's 124,000. How does that work? But then it also depends on what you're writing, how much your book sells. So it's a lot more than just saying, yep, I'm going to send my book and they're going to send me a check of 124,000. It's a lot deeper than that. Like, there's no way you get 124,000 straight up and your book doesn't sell. Then whoever's published it, whether it's yourself or whether it's a big publisher, they've just wasted 124,000 when your book didn't sell, so that's a lot deeper than that. But I think if you're a best-selling author, you must earn that much because that's a lot. Like, far out. What I would do with $124,000? My God. it says entry-level authors may start at 91,000. So it's like 91,809 per year. So it's almost 92 grand. While experienced authors can earn up to 135,000 per year. That's also close. They're really specific with the price, so it's closer to 136K per year. So far out. If I go with a big publisher as an entry level, there's a good chance I could earn 91 grand per year. That's incredible, especially for someone who like that. For me, it's not like I would spend it on stupid shit. It's to pay off my uni bills. That's my first thing. It's like pay off everything, save up for the big stuff, and then I can sit comfortably. But I'm not too fussed about what I would earn. I just want to know if, like, because, is this worth doing if you're not going to earn anything from it? Because I know, I think it was Nicholas Sparks. That's his name, right? The guy who wrote The Notebook. He wrote something else too, but he was working as a pharmacist for years, and he was, did a degree on it and everything, and he was working as a pharmacist and was publishing books at the same time. And my mom always mentions this, and she, like always Nicholas Sparks. She's like, he was doing two jobs, so he was writing, but he had his full-time job, so he was earning money in general, wasn't relying on writing. And then The Notebook, I think it was The Notebook that really made him known, and his books took off, and then he could retire as a pharmacist and go straight into writing full time. So you always have to have a plan B. So obviously I'm going to be working at the same time. I feel like I don't want to do writing full time, especially not now, because it takes me a while and I don't want to rely on it. So my main goal is to get into working with books, or like I'm applying for everything, publishing, all roles that in publishing houses that don't even suit what I'm experienced at, because I really have no experience in any of that. But I'm still applying for them because I'm like, maybe there's the off chance that I could get this job. Like they might go, yep, she's good. Like she does social media. She knows what she's doing with books. Like, to a point. But yeah, there was one role where I can't remember who put out the job, but there's like, I'm going to be like a social media person, and I applied and I said, I have my own social media account and I know how to edit videos. I know how to, do all this stuff. Obviously my videos don't get that many views, but I don't have that many followers. So it's not, I don't know if it's reaching a lot of people, but I could make it work for them. But yes, that's that. I do want to see. So that's Australia. I wonder what Americans would get in 2025 as an income. It's all the same. Yeah. The average, yeah, so it's 72 grand. Oh no, wait. Hold on. There's no way. It says the average salary would be 81,000, with top earners potentially making 120,000. Are you saying that Australia makes more with their authors? How does that work? I think Google's all over the place, because we started at 18,000 and now we're at 124 for Australians, and now Americans are making less than Australians for their authors. There's no way, because American authors, I feel like there are more American authors out there than there are Australians, and most of the books on my shelf are American authors, because Australian authors, they're there, but because we're such a small country and there's a whole thing with it, I feel like we don't get as much promotion and as much recognition as Americans do. It's just always been like that with everything. So the fact that we could like Google saying that we make more, it's concerning. There's no way. But then at the same time, I'm like, that's pretty cool. But I think if you want to look, this is an estimate. There's no way everybody makes the exact same thing. So, I guess if you want to know how much authors really earn, you'd have to ask an author and like really get into the specifics. But that's that. That's all I like. My main thing for this episode was to know and to talk about how much we can earn as an author, because I know that you can't always get exactly how you dream. Like if you want to be a best-selling novelist or a best-selling, author, it may not happen. And it may happen, but it may take years. So it's this whole thing, and I'm like, I always have it in my head where it's like, you know what? I'll earn something. Like, I feel like I would, like, I have this feeling where I could earn something, but then at the same time, I'm like, there's no possibility. My mom is always like, write a best-selling author and write a best-selling book, and then you can do whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't guarantee that I'm writing a best-selling book, because it's different. My book is different, but it's also the same. So I'm like, that was my main goal, was to be different from all the other books that are going popular now, but also to be the same, because that's what people are reading. That's what people like. But yeah, I don't know if it could take off. I don't know anything really. I've just got to wing it and see what happens. But that's all I really... That's the point of this podcast episode today. Episode 4. But I hope you all enjoyed listening and watching, because now I get to, post on TikTok and actually people see my face, because, my videos get more views than when I post the writing section of like I don't know how to call it, but it's like it's a video of me talking, but obviously you can only hear my voice. It's like the audio video. But that doesn't get as many views as, doing my TikTok videos. So, yes, now we can see if this will send me to a new platform of, book talkers, see if they would like to listen to my podcast. I have a lot of dreams. I don't know if it's concerning. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Bit me rambling on about how much authors earn, and then about my book and what I have to change. And yeah, tune in for every other episode, because I will be doing at least 10 for this season. That's my goal for this first season, if I can get a second season. But yeah, thank you all for listening. I am your host, Bella.